When fire learns how to breathe, no one is born knowing how to endure. No one enters this world with a tempered soul. Life forges, strikes, breaks us down, and only then, does it teach. This is the story of Elias, a man who learned too late that he cannot control the wind, but he can always control the direction of his sails. Elias was 31 years old. He lived in a small neighborhood near an old railway that was still active at night. The metallic noise woke him up around 2 in the morning almost every day, but he had learned to ignore it. He worked in a steel factory where the heat wore down the skin and the monotony wore down the spirit. His hands were marked with scars that looked like maps. Every line was a memory of effort, exhaustion, survival. His life was never easy. His mother, Luciana, died when he was 19, taken by an illness that arrived without warning. His father, Rogelio, fell into alcoholic depression and stopped being the strong man he once was. And his younger brother, Matthias, became a broken promise, a talented athlete who lost everything in an accident that left him unable to compete. What remained was anger, frustration, and silence. The house was not a home. It was a place where everyone breathed, but no one truly lived. Up to that point, Elias had never heard the word Stoicism. He believed life was nothing but blows, that pain was bad luck, and that acceptance meant surrender. Every day he repeated the same questions. Why me? Why now? Why so much? He didn't know he was fighting the ocean with empty hands. Then came the fall that changed everything. One night after his shift, Elias found his brother Matthias lying on the floor of the bicycle workshop where he used to spend his afternoons. He had tried to end his life. Elias lifted him amid screams, tears, and rage. He ran through empty streets, feeling life slip away like sand through his fingers. At the hospital, the doctors said what was inevitable. Matthias survived, but something inside him was broken forever. Elias fell into an abyss. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He didn't speak. He blamed himself. I could have prevented it. I could have been more present. I could have saved him. But reality was different. He couldn't control his brother. He couldn't control fate. That's when Gabriel appeared, an unknown old man who visited hospitals the way someone waters a dry garden. He never said whether he was a psychologist or a philosopher. No one knew. His presence was calm. His voice was a refuge. He sat beside Elias and simply said, "Don't fight the storm. Learn to stand within it." Broken, Elias looked at him with anger. How can I stand when everything I love is falling apart? Gabriel smiled gently. First, understand what is in your control, and what is not. Pain arrives. Suffering is a choice. They were not sermons. They were seeds. That same day, Gabriel handed him a small, worn-out book. On the cover it read, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius. Page after page, Elias felt as if someone else was speaking inside his own mind. If something external troubles you, it is not the thing itself, but your judgment about it. You waste time arguing about how the world should be. Use that time to improve yourself. What happens, happens as it must. And without anyone noticing, something began to change. It wasn't fast. It was slow, like learning to walk again after an accident. Elias began waking up early, not because he had to, but because he wanted to begin differently. He walked at dawn, breathed deeply, gave thanks for the day even when it hurt, and repeated mantras. What is internal is mine. What is external does not belong to me. Guilt was still there, but now he could observe it without letting it burn him. Sadness was still alive, but it no longer owned his will. 1 month later, the factory announced layoffs. Elias lost his job. This time, he didn't scream. He didn't punch walls. He didn't curse fate. He repeated the words from the book. I accept what I cannot control. I focus on what I can. With the money he had left, he rented a small space in the old bicycle shop. He wanted to help his brother reconnect, not to compete, but to live. Matthias didn't speak, but he listened. He didn't walk firmly, but he moved forward. Elias stayed by his side with patience, the unfamiliar virtue he was just beginning to learn. Then came the great test. An unexpected fire destroyed the shop. A single electrical spark was enough. Elias watched his effort burn, his tools, his work, his fragile reborn hope. The night lit up with flames that seemed to mock him. He felt the old urge to collapse, but he breathed. Fire takes what we cannot hold on to. My worth is not in what I lost, but in who I am when I lose it. Gabriel, the old man, appeared through the smoke as if he had known all along. He said, "The river does not ask why it finds stones. It simply flows." Elias closed his eyes, and for the first time, he understood. Pain no longer destroyed him. It tempered him. Loss no longer dragged him down. It emptied him so he could be filled again. That day, he made the decision that would define his life, to turn his experience into a lesson for others. He began recording short videos on his old phone, talking about Stoicism, about how to breathe in the middle of chaos, how to regain inner control when the outside world becomes a hurricane. He spoke about fire, wind, silence, death, forgiveness. People began to listen. Then they began to write to him. Then they began to visit him. What had been a tragedy became a voice capable of lifting others up. Matthias smiled again. Rogelio gave up alcohol. Elias was no longer the broken man in the hospital. He was a guide born from pain, but not enslaved by it. 1 year later, he gave his first talk in front of 300 people. He didn't tremble. He closed his eyes and said, "You don't control the world, but you do control who you are within it. And when you understand that, nothing external can defeat you again." The audience stood up. They cried. They applauded. Elias didn't gain fame. He gained something deeper, mastery of himself. And as he looked at the full auditorium, he thought, "My brother didn't die. I didn't die. We just woke up." Life stopped being a fight and became a purpose. Because a Stoic does not avoid pain. He turns it into a foundation, into strength, into fire that breathes. If you're interested in Stoicism, personal growth, and real-life stories, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. And don't forget to follow us on all our social networks and join the family of Stoic Stories.